Hello and good day. Welcome back to our class. This is teacher Onin Guzman and our topic for today is sum and product of roots of quadratic equations. Remember that the roots of a quadratic equation can be determined using the quadratic formula x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. From the quadratic formula, we can let x sub 1 or the first root is equal to negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, while the second root is equal to negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Be the roots. So let us now find the sum and the product of the roots. So let's consider first the sum of the roots of quadratic equation. So note that x sub 1 plus x sub 2, since our x sub 1 is equal to negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, while our x sub 2 is equal to negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Since we have the same denominator, so we have here 2a as our denominator and the numerators. So I have negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Since this is plus, I'll distribute that. So we have negative b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Take note that, okay, these are opposites. So this is positive and negative. So we can eliminate that now. So leaving x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative 2 all over 2a. Then factored out 2. So x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative b all over a. So therefore, so the sum of the roots of the quadratic equation is negative b all over a. On the other hand, if we want to find the product of the roots of quadratic equation, so take note that x sub 1 times x sub 2, okay, using the value of x sub 1 is equal to negative b plus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, while x sub 2 is equal to negative b minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, so if we will recall this is a positive and this is negative, so we can resolve two difference of two squares. It means that since this is our first term, negative b, and our second term is the square root of b squared minus 4ac, so we'll come up with the product of the roots is equal to negative b squared minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac squared all over the product of 2a times 2a, so it will result to 4a squared. Now I can factor out the square root as well as the squared. So it will leave us x sub 1 times x sub 2 is equal to b squared because negative b squared is b squared. However, there's negative outside, so I can remove the square root and the squared, so leaving to b squared minus 4ac. But I'll distribute the negative, so therefore negative b squared plus 4ac all over 4a squared. However, I have b squared minus b squared, so that is equal to 0. So the numerator now is only 4ac all over 4a squared. Simplifying it further, so the product of the roots is equal to c over a. So therefore, the product of the roots of the quadratic equation is c over a. To summarize our derivation of formula, so the sum of the roots of a quadratic equation is equal to x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative b over a. On the other hand, the product of the roots of quadratic equation is x sub 1 times x sub 2 is equal to c over a. Let's consider our example number 1. Find the sum and the product of the roots of 2x squared plus 8x minus 10 is equal to 0. So we will find out the values of a, b, and c respectively and make sure that the trinomial or the quadratic equation is already in standard form. So by inspection, this is already in standard form. So the value of a is equal to 2, the value of b is equal to 8, and the constant is equal to negative 10. Then, to find the sum of the roots of the equation, applying the formula of x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative b all over a. So substituting the value of b and a respectively, so the sum of the roots of quadratic equation is equal to negative 4. On the other hand, the product of the roots, so that is x sub 1 times x sub 2 is equal to c over a. So the value of c is equal to negative 10 and a is 2. So therefore, this is equal to negative 5. Then again, the sum and the product of the roots of 2x squared plus 8x minus 10 is equal to 0 is negative 4 and negative 5 respectively. Now to check, so let us factor 2x squared plus 8x minus 10 is equal to 0. So we have 2x squared plus 8x minus 10 is equal to 0. Since the greatest common factor among the terms is equal to 2, so I put it out. So I have here, okay, 2x squared divided by 2 is equal to x squared. 8x divided by 2 will give us 4x, and negative 10 divided by 2 is equal to negative 5. So this is the factor form, which is equal to 0. And I divide both sides of the equation, it will result to, okay, x squared plus 4x minus 5. However, x squared plus 4x minus 5 as a factor of x minus 1 times x plus 5 is equal to 0. Now, I can equate this one as x minus 1 equals 0 or x plus 5 is equal to 0. So to look for the values of x, I can have that x is equal to 1 or x is equal to negative 5. So if we will look for the sum of the roots, so we have x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to 1 plus negative 5 is equal to negative 4. On the other hand, the product of the roots is equal to x sub 1 times x sub 2 is equal to 1 times negative 5 is equal to negative 5. So therefore, the sum and the product of the roots of 2x squared plus 8x minus 10 equals 0 is negative 4 and negative 5 respectively. Let us now consider problem number 2. Use the values of a, b, and c in finding the roots of quadratic equation x squared plus 7x minus 18 equals 0. So again, so by inspection, so this quadratic equation is already in standard form. So we will get the values of a, b, and c respectively. So a is equal to 1, b is equal to 7, and the constant is equal to negative 18, which is c. Next, so the sum of the roots of quadratic equation is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative b all over a, or we can say that x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative 7 all over 1 is equal to negative 7. On the other hand, the product of the roots as a formula of x sub 1 times x sub 2 is equal to c over all over a. So this will give us negative 18 all over 1 or negative 18. So therefore, we can say that the sum and the product of the roots of x squared plus 7x minus 18 equals 0 is negative 7 and negative 18 respectively. So let us recall if x sub 1 and x sub 2 are the roots of x squared plus 7x minus 18 equals 0, then the sum and the product of the roots are as follows. So sum of the roots, so that is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative 7. On the other hand, the product of the roots, so x sub 1 times x sub 2 is equal to negative 18. Observe, okay, the relationship between sum of the roots and the product of the roots. So by inspection, the two numbers that give us the sum of negative 7 and the product of negative 18 are negative 9 and positive 2. This negative 9 and positive 2 are actually the roots of the quadratic equation x squared plus 7x minus 18 equals 0. You may try it to find out if negative 9 and negative 2 are the roots of the quadratic equation. Let's move on to example number 3. Find the sum and the product of the roots of x squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0. So by inspection, this is already in standard form. So the values of a, b, and c respectively are the following. So a is equal to 1. So b is equal to 4 and our constant c is equal to negative 21. Then the sum of the roots is x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equal to negative b all over a, or we can say that this is equal to negative 4. On the other hand, the product of the roots is equal to x sub 1 times x sub 2. So we have here negative 21 all over 1, or this is simply as negative 21. So therefore, the sum and the product of the roots of x squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0 is equal to negative 4 and negative 21 respectively. Now to check, let us factor x squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0. So take note that I will use the factoring technique. So I'll look for the factors of negative 21 such that the sum is equal to 4. So here, so what are those numbers? So the factors are actually 7 and negative 3. So therefore, the factors are x plus 7 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. So I can say that x plus 7 is equal to 0, or x minus 3 equals 0. Or we can say that x is equal to negative 7, or x is equal to 3. Now, to find the sum of the roots, I'll add negative 7 and 3. This will result to negative 4. On the other hand, the product of the roots is negative 7 times 3 is equal to negative 21. Observe the relationship again of the sum of the roots and the product of the roots. So if the numerical coefficient is equal to 1, then so to find the sum of the roots, just simply get the additive inverse of positive 4, that is negative. Then negative 21 is the product of the roots. So therefore, we can say that the sum and the product of the roots of x squared plus 4x minus 21 equals 0 is negative 4 and negative 21 respectively. So that ends on our discussion on our topic on the sum and the product of the roots. So again, this is teacher Onin de Guzman. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified about my new videos. Thank you.